Good evening, Plum here, playing World of Tanks, and welcome to my first official preview video of a tank. This is going to be formal, it's going to be researched, it's going to be entertaining. Now, this is what everyone's talking about. It just appeared on the test server update. This is the AMX Chasseur de Chars, and it's a tier 8 premium medium French tank. And when I started up the game and I saw this, I couldn't believe it. I looked at it and I instantaneously thought of this. I just make that go away. Just the whole vibe of this tank really surprised me, considering I don't particularly like the French aesthetic. For most of their tanks, I quite like the AMX 1390 design, and I'm pretty happy with the Batchat as well. But generally, they seem to have incredibly large chassis with god ugly turrets on top. But this thing, it does look French, but it doesn't look French. It's a bit of an oddity, but I instantly liked it. I just saw it and thought, oh, I love that. I would like one of those. I don't care what it's like, and that's half my trouble with this game sometimes. I like certain tanks not because of the numbers, not because of what they can do, it's just purely how they look. I love the Cromwell. Fortunately, that's a damn good tank as well. There are many other tanks in my garage that I just love purely because how they look. Most of them are good tanks as well, but this thing, I wouldn't care if it's bad. I would still want it, I think, in my garage because of the design. It just looks incredible. It has a real 1950s vibe about it, much like that Flash Gordon spaceship that just popped up on your screen. That's just what I thought of when I first saw it. Anyway, so I love the look. That's half the battle for me. If it looks great, I probably want to drive it, and no tank's absolutely garbage. Even an M3 Lee has its days sometimes, so there's always something to be gained from just being there on the battlefield with a gun and some tracks and an engine. You can do something, but fortunately this tank is rather good. Why is it good, Plum? Let's just take a look at the engine power for starters and the weight. This is utterly mind-blowing. It only weighs average of 35 tons and it's got an engine power of 1200 horsepower. It's absolutely ridiculously overpowered. Let's bring it up here. This is the ELC. We all know the ELC is incredibly quick and maneuverable and powerful. Specific power there of 35.16. What do you think this thing's got? There's an ELC 35.6 specific power. This thing has got 34.99. 34.99. It's basically the same as the ELC. It is utterly mind-blowing. And then I didn't look at any of these stats when I took it out for its first game. I just saw it, got instantaneously excited and just pressed the battle button. Just went straight into a match. Just wanted to have that immediate, what's it like? And the first thing I noticed was the acceleration. It just gets up to speed in an absolute heartbeat. It's just there. Top speed 57. Yeah, we were pushing up in the high 40s on grassy terrain in just seconds, 2 or 3 seconds. We were just there. It's that powerful. Top speed isn't ridiculously high. It doesn't belt along like an ELC does. That thing's got a top speed of 65. But this thing, not far off of 57. But it just gets to that top end really quickly. It's incredible. It really does surprise you. It's a bit like the Centurions. It's got a lot of torque. It can just put the hammer down and it just moves. That makes it very much a tank that I'd be interested in purchasing. So it's got 2 ticks already. It looks amazing and it's got an amazing power to weight ratio. So how's it got this power to weight ratio? Well, it's got it because it has no armour at all. It doesn't have any. What's the ELC got? That's got pathetic armour. 14, 14, 12, 10, 10. This thing has got 30, 20, 20 on hull and turret at tier 8. ELC's down at tier 5. This is tier 8. And it's got 30, 20, 20. What are some of my tier 1 tanks got? They're the same as an ELC, so it's only twice as thick as a tier 1. BT2, turret armour of 26, so it's only got 4 mil more than the turret on a BT2, a tier 2 tank. Now this has got more armour. My premium Panzerkampfwagen 38H 735F, that's got more armour at tier 2. Gotta keep saying it over and over because it's just bonkers. At tier 2 than this at tier 8. It really has just... I think my thumb is about 30 millimeters thick when I look at it. That's how much armour it's got. I think a family car has probably got about, I don't know, 5 mil of metal around the chassis. So it's only got, what, 6 times thicker than a family car as armour. It just doesn't have any. I think it's they've given it just enough armour to keep its structural integrity complete, and that's all it's got. If it had any less armour, it would fall apart when they started the engine or fired the gun. It's just got enough to make it structurally sound. So it has no armour, so you're going to be absolutely gutted if you like tanks with armour. This is not for you. Leave now. And then we move on to the gun. This is not a bad gun, you know. I've had maybe 6 or 7 matches now, and I've not been disappointed. It's a trusty 90mm. The AC/DC is onto a winner there already. They are one of the greatest rock bands in the world. The AC/DC A45. Rate of fire 8.22, and average penetration of 212, and average damage of 240. Both damage is nothing to write home about, and neither is the penetration really, but it's not bad. That's the point. It's not bad. It's a premium tank. It's not supposed to be better than a standard tier 8 vehicle. It's supposed to be a little bit less than a standard vehicle. You're not supposed to be able to, pay to win in this game. Premium tanks are good for earning coin and training crews, and they also have a few other perks, like this thing's power to weight ratio is its perk, as is I think the gun. It's also got very good gun depression. It's 10 degrees. And you'll see it on display in a bit of footage that I'll show after this bit of garage talk. So it's got a pretty decent gun. So I've opened up Tank Inspector just to take a quick look at the gun. It's good for comparing guns, Tank Inspector, as well as looking at the armour. Let's get the armour out of the way really quickly, because I know you're probably interested to see the modelling of the armour. Here it is. You may glance at it and think, red, that looks pretty thick. Well, you've got to look at the scale over here on the right. Red is 30mm thick. I've got a tier 2 tank with more armour than this. It's ridiculous. There's just nothing here to write home about. There's that little bit of purple there, spaced armour, between the gun mantlet area and this nozzle that reminds me of Flash Gordon spaceships, and the barrel of the gun, but it's microscopically small compared to the rest of the tank. Just don't even consider it. And that little slot there is a bit of spaced armour. Maybe some people might actually aim at that slot, thinking it's a weak spot. You'd probably go for this hatch, but nope, it's all the same. So let's compare some guns. T44 is already set up as a reference vehicle, so we'll bring back the prettier view of the tank. Hover over the gun. So this is the gun on the CDC, and you get little indicators whether it's better or worse than the tank you're comparing it to. So rate of fire, better. Reload time, better. Ammo carried, more. Accuracy, better. Aiming time, better. They're the ones that really matter. Aiming circle spread after the shot on the turret, gun damage, etc, etc. They're not quite so critical if you ask me. Gun elevation's not as good, but that's negligible. Gun depression is better than on a standard vehicle, T44. Let's take a look at another tank. I think it obviously won hands down against the T44. Let's have a look at Centurion 1. Now these two feel quite similar tanks in my opinion. The way they play, they feel similar, except for the armour values obviously. But in terms of guns, the Centurion's got the 20 pounder in it, I believe. And in comparison to that, we've got rate of fires better, reload time better, maximum ammo better, accuracy's not quite as accurate, aim times better, elevations better, depressions equal. It's Too much reverse speed of the turret, not quite as good either. But in terms of gun, the gun is better on this, the premium tank, which I think is a little unusual. We'll just check what gun we were looking at. Yeah, it's the 20-pounder gun that we were comparing it to. Let's switch that back to the AMX CDC. Let's pick one more tank to take a look at to compare this gun. Indian Panther 2. Something German. And we're still comparable to the gun on the Panther 2. This rate of fire is equal to, reload time equal to, maximum ammo more, accuracy equal to, aim time better. Got to say, it's a win again. This gun is terrific at this tier on a premium tank. Not often you can say that about a premium tank's gun. Tier for tiering, class for class, it's normally worse. So that's a good thing indeed. Let's get back to the garage. There aren't really any medium tanks to compare it to in the French line, because there's only a couple. We bring up the tech tree and find the French. Medium tanks. Let's start looking for medium tanks. Well, the Lorraine 40T at tier 9, that's a medium tank. Before it's the AMX 1390 light tank. The Batchat is a medium tank. And way down here somewhere, where is it? The D2, that's a medium tank. So they've got 3. Well, at least they've got now a tank that you can train crews in for your Lorraine and the Batchat. But there's no real direct comparison to make within the French tree. So, back to garage. Back to the CDC, and it is great. I've had a few games in it, and you've just got to drive this thing very carefully, thoughtfully. It's a thinker's tank. Just because the front looks like a tool shop, a hardware store window display, that's by the by. I mean, that pickaxe is not a weak spot, or the lump hammer, or the crowbars. They're not weak spots. Don't aim at them. It's an awesome machine. So I think the best thing we can do is look at some gameplay and see how this thing actually performs. So this is the first game that I had no idea what this tank was about. I just started the game, hit the accelerator and thought, whoa, this thing moves. Look at it go. Already up to over 50. Just a few seconds. Can we actually get some air off these railway tracks? Almost. Quick transition up onto the high ground here, where it quickly became evident to me that something's wrong with this tank, because every single thing that shoots at me is actually doing damage. Not a single bounce. I think I've been hit 3 times, and every single one went straight through the front of this tank. So it's quickly becoming evident to me that this does not have any armour, because I really didn't look at the stats at all. Probably a mistake in hindsight, but taking shots from the side, even at long range, I'm still being penetrated, but he was into my sides. So this first game is going to teach me an awful lot about the CDC. Shows me there it's got a pretty accurate gun, even with the new nerf to the accuracy, which I have felt actually in some of these upcoming clips from games I've played in the CDC. I am missing more shots at range, and I'd quickly get killed. I took the tank to the front line and it got absolutely annihilated. Next match I had. I'm going to have a race now. Watch this. We're racing MT25, T49, T54 lightweight. Look at this thing go! It's absolutely amazing. I'm nearly keeping up with these guys in their light tanks. I wouldn't exactly say I'm losing ground on these small maps. It really doesn't matter. You know, I'm there, I'm with them. That's how fast this machine is. So I get onto the front line and, like the noob I am, take another hit, another penetration. I do not think in all these matches I get a single bounce, not one. So I start playing this tank like I play the Centurion on this map. I just ride this ridgeline, just trying to show my turret, give them a smaller target. It's still a pretty big turret, but when they're facing you front on, it's not quite as large. And where do I take the hit from? The side. It's the side of a barn, this tank, and of course it penetrates. So I'm still dancing around the same location, and then it starts to work like the Centurion works. It's a good snapshot tank at that kind of close range combat. You can pull up, take a shot now. This is medium range shot. misses. Someone else gets the kill shot, but I think that is the nerf having a bit of play there on longer range shots. So I am trying to have complete, total map awareness playing this tank. You spend every second you're looking in front of you, you spend looking at the map, and your eyeballs start to ache after a while. Not in a bad way, in a good way. Rate of fire helps me kill this tier 9. And he's gone. Good stuff. Plum. So got my first tier 9 kill under my belt. Spot this guy all the way over here in his T49. Can the accuracy... That's a pretty tight reticule from that position, and we do actually land that shot. So that was really satisfying, having missed nearly every other single long range shot I've tried in this tank. But it's hard to know whether it's just the accuracy or the nerf. I believe it is the nerf making these long range shots miss, because this seems like a reasonably accurate gun. So the match is almost over now. They've only got 2 light tanks left, so let's try hitting a tank on the move. I've got a nice steady position. Led that one just a little bit too early. They're pushing on our base. We've just got the cap. And I think, right, just get one last shot off before the clock stops, but I miss. Gun reticule wasn't completely settled. And we then move on to another match. This one's on Live Oaks. Tier 10 game. I've been lucky with the matchmaking until recently. Because everyone was excited by these new tanks. There was a lot of tier 8 games to be had. But this was the first tier 10 match. Now, I am now becoming fully aware after only 2 matches of what this tank is like. And you cannot be the first tank seen on the front line. If there's even a chance you're going to get hit, you will get hit, it seems. People enjoy shooting at this CDC because it's such a large target. I am editing out all the nothing happening moments in these replays. I don't want to make this video 1 hour long. But the accuracy's pretty good there. That shell appeared to go right to the centre of the reticule. Let's get another crit. I'm risking a lot sitting on these tracks, but 1400 health pool's not too bad. Managed to get the kill shot. Fall back. Get back into cover. Gun depression working well. It's not terrible, the gun depression. You can work with it on shallow rises. Then we get eyes on artillery. Luckily the team did good in the town, and now it's just a matter of time for the enemy team. And now this is where this tank can, like any tank, can really work at the end of a match. But this one can really work because you've got the speed and the power to push forwards and get into positions quickly. And then you've also got the punchy gun that can do that sort of damage. This thing's loading every 6.5 seconds, this gun. And it's working beautifully. That just misses. I swear that's the nerf. That flew right to the edge of the reticule. It's going to make the game far more realistic, I think, having this accuracy nerf. More shots are going to miss. It's going to make the games last a bit longer because people will be missing critical shots. Managed to get that shot off. There's a CDC. I know he has absolutely no chance. I could shoot him anywhere on that tank and it's going to kill him. More damage on the enemy artillery. And just poke around this corner. Get another tasty shot into the side of him. Really enjoying this tank. I get 4 kills in this match. Good result. Starting to really feel how the tank likes to be driven. And it likes to take snapshots. It likes to sit in the second line of defence, not the front line. Now we're on Siegfried line. Another interesting match. You can see my tank position. I'm in the middle of our team. I am not in the front. Do not put this tank on the front line. I cannot tell you more. I could just tell you all day. Do not put this tank on the front line. It is not a front line tank. You've got to sit back. Combination of its size and its thin armour, it just makes it an absolute sitter. If I see one of these things and I'm on the opposing team, I'm going to shoot at it immediately. If I had time, I'd probably switch to high explosive as well, because you can imagine what a high explosive shell is going to do to this tank. It's just going to tear straight through the 30 or even 20 millimeters of armour it has got and absolutely tear it a new one. So I'm rocking the middle of the team still. I've got tanks in front of me, which is exactly what I want. I'm slightly hull down, trying to keep this thing slightly protected. I'm always looking for places to move this tank into cover. So I think I've got a shot here. I can just nudge out here. They finally get the ELC. There's a CDC out in the open. My reload isn't quite quick enough. There's something obstructing me moving forwards to get my second shot off. And he was lucky to get across there without taking more damage. I start taking damage from another CDC. As you can see, it penetrated every single time. That was a pretty decent snapshot on that guy. Wasn't fully aimed, but it still hit. I'm still taking hits, and every single thing that hits me does damage. There's no way around it. Another hit, more damage. Like I say, I don't think I took a single bounce in 10 games. So I move around the buildings, go around, use this tank's manoeuvrability, and throw that T-34 off. He didn't know where I was. Get my eyes on the Jag-88. That guy's now frankly dead in the enemy CDC. He's out in the open. We've got that charioteer looking at him, and also a heavy tank. I'm going to push down into the field to try and finish him off. Looking at the tank positions of the enemy team, 4 tanks left, 1 unaccounted for. I decide it's a good moment to put the horsepower to work, get this thing moving. Take another hit from another that CDC over there. He's hit my ammo rack. Take a chance, he shot. It was never really going to happen. And then I decide to push on the Jag-88. There is the STA-2, the other new premium tier 8 medium tank. Camping over the map. I decide the geography of the map can protect me on this one, so I decide to push on the Jag-88. Leave the CDC alone over in the corner. I think if I can get round this bunker, get shots on the 88 from behind. Now he's a one shot. I do the ever so cool drive-by shoot, and now I'm going to try and get the bunker and see the Jag-88 between me and the 2 enemy tanks that remain. I think I'm safe from the CDC, and I try to line up my shot on the STA-2, but that pesky CDC finally gets me. Right, we're on to another heavily tier 10 game, and look at this. That is a Leopard 1, and I'm pushing a Leopard 1 up the hill. This thing is so fast. Yeah, pushing a Leopard 1 up a hill. It's awesome. Managed to get myself into a nice spot here where I cannot be shot at. Unfortunately, the nerf has its effect. The C-50 decides to move up on my position. I take the hit, obviously. I'm never not going to take damage. I've quickly learned. I managed to get some damage into an E-50, and then fortunately, I'm able to reverse back into cover. He does get another hit into me. Our waffle tractor there, that's having a bad day. He's only got 16% health left. I see if I can get my gun down onto that enemy TD over in the distance. E-50 decides he's going to be brave and push. I've got a Death Star behind me, so I'm feeling pretty confident, but then the Batchat arrives. Luckily, our Death Star takes care of him. Keeps our waffle tractor in the game and myself. I decide to push on the E-50 a bit. I can see he's coming at me, so I decide to take a quick shot, fall back as quick as I can. Luckily, the horsepower of this tank, other slower tanks would still be out in the open when the E-50 came around the corner. So that kind of saves me. He obviously goes for the big gun, gets him. I decide to get a shot in, start to drive around his gun. Luckily, the Death Star saves me again. I would not have liked to have gone toe-to-toe with an E-50M in this tank. You don't want to go toe-to-toe with any tank, particularly an autoloader. Oh, an autoloader, it's just a dream to come across one of these things. If you've got a full clip, you can shoot it anywhere and you're going to damage it. Decide to try and push my advantage over the rocks here, get eyes on this enemy team. It just goes over that hill so easily. Some tanks are just a slog to move around the battlefield. You see a hill, you think, oh, I'll go and put the kettle on. Not this machine. Knowing that the accuracy nerf is having a bit of a hard time hitting targets, I decide to go right for the centre. And it did hit, but it went pretty much to the centre and didn't penetrate. But managed to get my second shot in. Now we're going arty hunting. 2 enemy artillery to shoot at. There's the object. I decide to load high explosive because it's supposed to do more damage against a lightly armoured target. Although it is tier 10 artillery, I would still hope to do a lot more damage than this shot eventually does. He misses, so now I've got all the time in the world to kill this guy. So how much damage do I do? 127. It's just ridiculous. I swear that always happens when you fire high explosive at artillery. It never does what you expect it's going to do. It's gutting. And those are the matches that I've had in the CDC. It's a good tank. I like it a lot. But you've got to play it so smart. You cannot muck about with this tank. If you just go YOLOing in, you're going to die unless it's the end of the match. You just will. It's not a frontline tank. It's in the middle of your team. It's a support tank. And in that role, it can be absolutely fantastic because it can just relocate itself so quickly. And with the rate of fire of the gun, it's formidable. But just don't get shot, and that's easy enough said than done, because that's the entire point of the game is to be shot at and get shot. So it's not a tank for everyone. That's easy enough to see for everybody. It's a tank for people that like light tanks. If you like mediums, it's probably still not your cup of tea because it doesn't have the armor. It's not. It definitely sits. If there's a category between light and medium, that's where it's sitting. It's just an oddity, and I love it. Love the look. Love the way it handles, love the gun. It's absolutely brilliant. You wouldn't better prize that tank out of my cold dead hands. However, I would say I will probably wait until there's a event on and you get the usual 15% discount on a tier 8 premium tank, and I'll buy it then. I won't buy it at full price because I'm tight. So in summary, it's awesome. I would not hesitate to purchase one of these tanks as long as it doesn't get changed. They can change it a tiny bit and I'll probably still want it, but if they take anything away from the power to weight ratio or the gun, I'll be very disappointed indeed. Anyway, please leave a comment below. What did you think of my preview of the CDC? It's a new thing for me to try and do, actually, a more informative video. I'm very much just a player. I just play the game. I do not do, as a rule, tank reviews or previews. I just play the game and enjoy playing it. And if you want more previews and reviews, please let me know below if you thought it was good enough, whether it cut the mustard. I'd much appreciate it. Or just give it a thumbs up. Let's see if we can make it my most highly thumbed up video ever, and I'll know that you'd like more like this. So keep your heads down, drink plenty of water, and I will play tanks again soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Only me could think of such a devilish scheme.
Read it out slowly. Every particle of Ming's death dust must have a disastrous effect.
Careful, Flash. They're turning for an attack.
Throw it in reverse.
We're in firing position, sir.
This'll burn them to a cinder.
They missed us with the heat ray. But I think you scored a hit.
Brace yourselves for another charge.